Nothing to you now.
So this has fiberglass. The farm one has fiberglass on it, and this one doesn't have. I ran out of fiberglass resin. You can see this is really light because dried out, and it's just missing a lot of resin, being from 1973. So I also threw a bunch on that side that I thinned out, so hopefully it'll just reinforce the hull and seal everything up. So I'll do that again on this, and then I'll keep putting fiberglass cloth over the top of these runners, because that's sort of like the backbone of the boat. So I gotta really sturdy that up. And yeah, looking good. Okay, I have to put a floor in now, so I have some 3H lumber for the floor. But on the front, the 8 foot mark's about here. I'll cover all the way to the back. So I have to put a small piece in the front. And as you can see, the front, where the windows usually sit on, it's sagging down so bad because there's no support underneath there right now. So you can see I have about a 3/4 inch gap that I need to make up. It needs to come up. So I'm putting a 3/4 inch piece of wood, treated plywood, that, so it'll bump up. All right, so before they had fiberglass in the floor, which I'm gonna fiberglass over the top of what I put in, but it's nearly impossible to cut like straight right on the edge. So I have to figure out a way to create this profile. So I made marks from the center of the boat, and every foot I'll measure, and then I have to measure this. It's a little hard to explain, but over here I have my piece of plywood with those same marks, and then I'll just cut out the areas that are too narrow.
Late fees with this employee? I'm Deborah Messy.
Oh my God, Deborah Messy. Yeah, no late fees at all, especially for you.
Hey, you might be Deborah.
Got a few coats left. It's a little ugly. I'm not super happy with some of the stuff I did. You can see there's some of the coat from that dripped. I should have sanded it down, but I was kind of rushing it. But I think there's some more. I think if I spray past it, you won't notice. But the color, just not super happy with my decisions. This one right here is the worst. You can sort of see it right there. There's just a lot of run. I'm gonna have to spray past it pretty much. Sand and spray past it. Alright, I got my sideboards in. I put a board on the transom too. That should sturdy it up. I also put metal supports, just L brackets, L beam, whatever. Some stainless steel, get painted up. And then that's just to make sure. I'm not sure how great this transom is, so we'll see. That should sturdy up with some big fender bolts. And then you have special silicone, a marine silicone sealant I put underneath all the washers to keep all the water out. There's this adhesive that's left over from the numbers that were very crooked and the pinstripe. So, clean this side already. It's all gone. I just used a rag with acetone on it, and then this 3M like scratch pad to get it off. Next is sanding the hull, patching it, then sanding it again, and then paint. Alright, I got some patch on. It's all fiberglass resin patch. You can tell that this side is actually probably the dock side because there's a lot more patches there, a bad patch there, and that's about it for patch. Then there are on this side. There's only a couple. So the dock was probably always on that side of the boat. And I do have some on the bottom, just a little bit right on the like major part of the hull where I'm sure there's a couple rocks. Maybe turn on. Oh yeah, pretty weak. Alright, I got the carpet done, the base carpet. I might throw some carpet up on the edges where I enameled, but we'll see. I have to trim those front cavities because there's going to be some compartment there. And then I got this adhesive sort of everywhere, just using mineral spirits. And sooner or later it just comes off. Gotta do sort of everywhere. Woo! This is riveting. Today I want to finish up the last of the carpeted areas, like the compartments I want to put up here, which are also seats. So I also will do seats because I got some vinyl today to create those. And then I'm going to do a rear compartment for the battery and the gas. I created them out of the cardboard here, but I also brought over here, used the jigsaw and the circular saw to make those cuts. And also the compartment, it's a little tougher because there's some weird shapes, so I just went from a couple measurements I had and a couple angles, go from a 90, use some radius, and hopefully it'll fit. All right, I got the back cabinet nearly done. It's a little messy because I've been cutting and screwing. But this is the gas compartment here. I got sliders built in. So the gas can is in there. And you have to have it separated from the battery because of spark. And then these I have to attach with hinges, but there's the battery compartment in there. And then I also have like a little sneaky compartment there. And these screws that I attached this top rail with to keep these in place. So these are countersunk. So I fabricated these aluminum strips, and I'm just riveting these on here. So it's gonna be a nice strip across. And then the bottom rails are also aluminum for sliding. Voila. Got the windshield in. Don't mind the mess, but it went in pretty nice. I had to adjust it a little bit. Underneath, there are bolts that are on the sill here. And then I re-weather gasketed the bottom lip here. Put new locks in place here. So you just spin those. It opens. All right, I opened the bottom bolt on the lower unit for the lower unit fluid. And I got sprayed with a bunch of water, which there's not supposed to be any water in there. So, replace gaskets, or there's something else wrong. I did see a really small pinhole right there, which is not good. I don't want to rip this thing apart too much. Should be interesting. All right, this is the lower unit. This propeller would be here. My brother helped me flush this out. There's lower unit fluid that is in here. It's just a really thick oil. So you drain it through here, and there's the air vent up here. It's just gravity fed, pretty much. It just stays down in this. Pretty much like a transmission. There's like 2 gears here. And then there's a dog clutch that chooses them between your shifting rod here. This goes up and down. It's kind of all taken apart right now. And then this is the drive shaft. So when you spin this, it'll spin I have it. Yep, you can see it spins there, depending on where the linkage is. And then this is a water pump. And then the exhaust comes down through. And then it shoots out the back. And that's just to help muffle. So you'll see like bubbles coming up from this thing before. And then there's an anode here to get any of the barnacles and stuff. And the water pump I just took apart. If you pull this off, you can see actually on the other side of this is a channel. And then there's two louvers that push down into this little crevice there, and it pops up through here. And then it feeds through to this pump. And all the pump is this wheel. It's in decent shape for being original, but I'm replacing it. You can see there's some cracking. It's just gonna add water, cools your engine, so you don't wanna not have this. You wanna have a cool engine. Yeah. My thirst is obeyed. Made this little tight area cleaning rod out of a chopstick and a little rag that I cut up and electrical tape. Take some soapy water, give her a spray. It's just for like little areas like this. A little spin, and it's cleaning it up. The other end of it, I just did a little there. Dip it in some mineral spirits. Boom. Whole lot of dirt. Alright. I am putting a fuel filter on little old gentle girl. So if you have like rough ends, it's kind of hard to see. I jam in there for some reason. Anyway, I have a tool from when I worked HVAC. It's just like a pipe cutting tool. You can also cut tubing with it. And pull it back like that. This one's cheap. So then it engages. Get it to where you want it to go. Boom. Nice clean cut. That's a clean cut. I haven't really talked about what I've been doing to the engine. I cleaned it up a lot. It had a lot of grease. These are grease inserts. And these grease inserts, just like, this is a giant bearing here. Or there's bearing. How it turns. So it needs to be greased. So you grease them in there. But it was just, over time, they leaked from these seals. And just got caked. So I cleaned those off. And cleaned up some of the other controls. This is the idle speed. Yeah, it was fun, that gear change up there. And then I polished it up with just some like revitalizer compound. See how this goes. Trying to hit it in. Pretty tight fit. Waterproof. Pretty good. Just got the pinstriping done. The numbers will be, registration number will be here. Goes all the way down. I had to do a cut around the bilge pump hole. Boom. All right, there's the old water pump. Here's the new one. I had this inside collar was a little too small, so I had to like grind it out and then file this little clearing with a tiny little baby file. And then it just drops. This is the drive shaft. Drop it on there. I got it fitting perfect. You spin it in place and it drops on this little tiny, I don't know what you call that, just sort of a chuck. And that you put the housing over top of that and that spins, and then it'll push the water up in the cooler. Paint job on the boat motor done. Still have like little tape lines that I'm gonna fix up. And I'll probably fix up some of the white letters just a little bit. You can see it got red here. And I have to put, on the original one it says electric right here. So I'll probably put that. Yeah, it turned out great. Before and cut down. Not for tall people. The way they had these rails before, they were stripped out, so I had to put a bigger bolt there. It's kind of ugly in a corner, so I ended up grinding them down just with a sanding wheel and polishing up a little bit so they're nice and smooth. 2 more to go. So I put in the horn. It's under here. And it mounted to a plate there. And then the plate is also attached to this. It's just really the only decent spot I have for it. Otherwise I have to have it exposed and kind of looks ugly. So wires will run through there to the fuse box I'm going to mount underneath the steering wheel. Then I have a radio and a voltmeter that I'm probably going to mount on that side. And you can see I installed speakers on this underside, wherever that one is, over there, boom. All right, I'm working on the wiring. These are the 2 main power cables that go to the engine and such. So they'll be going through this gas compartment and over to this battery cavity through a hole that I have drilled in here. So I have them, for extra shielding, I just put on some of this cable wrap for where it's going to be going through. And I'm going to also have some other low voltage stuff coming through. Just extra fire protection. Don't want to blow up. All right, wiring is pretty much done on the back end. I have it all shielded up here through the wall there. That's the bilge pump that will clip into that bottom part. Runs up through here, tied into there. I also have the battery semi-hooked up. You can see I put shrink wrap on all the ends. Then those wires run through this gunnel. And then switch I installed. That's just the main battery accessory shut off for like the horn and fuse box and all that goody stuff. got the front compartments all wired up. Because I have the speaker here, and then the fuse box is behind here. So I have to run for the stereo underneath decking, and then through there, and then up to where the stereo is going to be behind the passenger, in front of the passenger. And then in front of the passenger, I'm going to mount this radio sort of back here to keep it out of the way yet being able to see it, because I also have the voltmeter to make sure the battery doesn't die if you're playing too much. So I have to make a mount, just a plate on top of here, or a board on top of here, and then attach to this compartment wall. Wiring is all done. So there's the fuse box, and there's the ground block. Pretty much from the battery, I have a main line running. This line here comes from the battery, and also this line is the positive that goes to the battery also. So that's applying from there. This also is on a cutoff. And then goes up through here, through the fuse. It's just like a breaker box at home. And then if there's too much of a load on the wires, the accessories that you're using, it'll pop the fuse before it burns out the wire and starts a fire. Pop the fuse. These are nice because it will, the red light will go on. So you don't have to worry about trying to find a bad fuse or bad line. Yeah, it looks like a mess, but peel these off and redo them. Just looked at the registration requirements. I didn't think of it before, but I'm supposed to have the registration behind the letters and numbers, and I'm supposed to have a bigger space here. So I switched trailers. Quite an interesting process. I put up some big 4x4s and strung them across 4 of those up top. And I just did 2x4s up there, and then I just did them to the points. Ratcheted it up. I'm out of breath. Whew. And then pulled the old trailer out, put the new one in. Now I just got to adjust this tongue, put that up, and yeah, worked out pretty good. Had to lower the garage door just a bit. Just barely fit. My new control cables are in the mail. The last part I was waiting for took about 2 weeks. These are the old connector ends. This one goes to what will be the control arm. And then I'm cleaning up the other end over here and painted those. They were just like sun washed before, or sun bleached, I guess you could say. And those will connect to like the throttle and the gear selector. So the old ones were pretty rough, so. The gas up. Now christen you. Woo! But we're in the water. No one's watching yet. Woo! Got Vinny and Carla here. Food for nothing. All right, here. Fingers crossed, guys.
Woo! The maiden voyage. It's running. We're moving.
Smoky, but I don't know how
Hey, this is retro, man. We knew what we signed up for.
You can turn it off if you want.
We had some people watching.